Hello and welcome back to the Content Bite. We're a podcast for writers of all kinds looking to create a thriving business and a career that they love. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelancer, content producer, and the founder of the jobs board Rachel's List. And I am here with Lynn Testoni once more. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, Rach. Hi again, everyone. Yes, my name is Lynn Testoni, and I'm also a content creator, writer, and journalist. And this week, we're talking about something that's intrigued me for a while, Pinterest. I love Pinterest, and I think it's a social media that a lot of people aren't aware of and how powerful it is and can be. And Pinterest really fascinates me because I've heard that it can be a surprising source of work and clients. In fact, last week I was speaking to a designer friend of mine and he says he gets 70% of his work through Pinterest. And Rachel and I thought it was about time to find out more, and we found a special guest this week to talk about Pinterest, Simone Pavels. And Rachel, do you want to share some background about Simone?
I would love to. Okay, so Simone Pavels provides trusted Pinterest and SEO services and strategy for business to help them lighten the load and live more intentionally. She shows you how to create perfect SEO optimized Pinterest profiles and pins and improve your Pinterest strategy so that you can have organic traffic flow to your website with barely lifting a finger. Oh, that sounds amazing. I'm a massive Pinterest fan, but I have totally dropped the ball. So Simone, we are very, very happy to have you today. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Shall we start off talking about what Pinterest is exactly and how it differs from other social media?
So I heard you say earlier that it's a social media platform. And I guess in a way it is. This is my favorite sort of analogy. I like to say that if Instagram and Google had a baby, it would be Pinterest.
Okay, yes.
So it's that visual search engine. So you've got the visuals that, Instagram has, and obviously the search engine and the algorithm, power of the algorithm that Google uses. So really it is just that. It's a visual search engine, but a powerful one at that is just getting more and more clever. It was released in beta form in approximately 2009, 2010, and it's grown so much since then. And it's really changed from people using it recreationally, for their parties and plan their outfits or their hairstyles, to actually now finding the people that they want to work with and the products that they want to buy. So yeah, it's just a very, very powerful platform.
Wow. I mean, I used to, like I was just saying, I used to be really into Pinterest, and I had two sort of profiles, and then I kind of dropped the ball and I wasn't sure how to get back into it, and I wasn't sure how to create a content strategy around it that, was actually worth my time and that would draw those potential clients to me. But do you think it's something that freelancers can use for that purpose?
Definitely. So basically it's a way for you to gain the trust of your audience, put yourself out there as an authority in your industry, in your niche, and drive traffic to your website where you can then capture that audience or those users depending on the user experience on your website. So I always say that, you can drive all the traffic you want in the world to your website, but if your website is not user friendly and the user experience isn't on point, then you're not going to convert that traffic. I feel like most businesses can use Pinterest to drive traffic to their website.
Yeah, that is interesting. And we actually last week, just a little plug for last week's episode, which was all about all the things you need to have on your website to make it more effective. So if you are working on your Pinterest strategy, you want to go back to your website, that's a good episode. So tell me a little bit about the search capabilities of Pinterest. That's something that I don't think a lot of people understand about it.
It's keyword driven, much like Google. The keywords, however, on Pinterest differ to those that are used on Google. A lot of the searches on Google are branded. So people are searching for white Nikes on Google, where can I buy white Nikes? They're actually using branded searches. But on Pinterest, they're searching things like how to style white sneakers. They're not asking how to style white Nikes.
Yeah.
And so it gives people the opportunity, when they're using the right keywords for their niche, for their industry, for their clients' pain points or their customers' pain points, it gives people that opportunity to actually even get out in front of big brands, which you can't do on Google because it's all based on that domain authority.
Yeah.
And Nike is going to have a larger domain authority and ranking higher than a lot of us are able to on Google. And so on Pinterest, there's not that competition though. So
It's really interesting.
as long as you're using the right keywords and you've got them in all the right places, you can actually show up in those searches that Nike's also showing up in, or showing up in searches that Nike's not showing up in. So
Wow, that's so fascinating. I had one post, one little post go viral on Pinterest years ago, and it was like a funny meme that I created, and it just exploded. And I kind of just looked at it every day and all the shares and the pins that it was getting and comments and stuff like that. And I couldn't really figure it out how I'd manage that, because I actually didn't really do anything. I can't even remember if I put keywords in, and this was years ago, so maybe it's all different now. But are you talking about putting the keywords in the blurb that you write, or is it about doing hashtags in the blurb? How does that work?
So it's actually a lot of things. So we put them on the actual image as a text overlay, because
alt text, yeah.
And actually on the image itself. So how to gain 500 followers in a week, you would write that on your text image, and those are keywords that Pinterest actually reads. So the algorithm can read the images and pick up keywords on your images. You pop it in the title of your pin, you put it in the description of your pin, and then you also can put it in the alt text now as well. But we also need to remember that we need to use alt text in the right way, because alt text is meant for visually impaired people to be able to read images correctly. So there's a way to still use keywords in that while still using the alt text morally and in the right way.
Appropriately,
that's right. And then in terms of hashtags are no longer searchable on Pinterest, but some people are still adding one or two at the end, just in case the rainy day comes where they come back. So it's really up to you whether you pop a hashtag at the end. I like to pop a couple of keywords at the end of my sentence or my paragraph. And so if you're sort of writing a description, you need to write that for human first, much like you do for Google. So it needs to make sense, and it can't just be keyword stuffed. But at the end, it's okay to just write a couple of keywords just at the very end. The likelihood most people probably won't read to the end of that little paragraph anyway. And it's just another little bit of advice you're giving Pinterest to help them rank your pin.
How long does your blurb need to be? Is there a set length that is optimal?
Oh, I actually don't know. I just keep typing until it stops. But I always say, tell people where you're sending them and what they're going to get from where you're sending them. It's that what, why, where, who type things that you're going to put in those descriptions. Tell people where you are sending them, and then make sure you do send them to that place, because you're not going to get the trust of people if you're sending them to a completely different URL or web page.
Mm-hmm. So one thing that I've observed, and I could be wrong here, that Pinterest seems to have much more of a female focus. Do you think that's accurate? Do you think men engage with it as much?
Yeah, so definitely, yes. The majority of users are females, and they were middle-aged, so between that sort of 30 and 45 range. However, last year, that range opened up a little bit further, and now we're saying between 18 and 45. The majority of people on Pinterest are mums, are female. But the male user is actually starting to use Pinterest as well. And so there was about a 20% increase on male users last year. So if your audience is in that 18 to 45 range, is a female, a mum, then your audience is on Pinterest.
Mm-hmm. So the sort of content that you post on Pinterest, should it be things like case studies? Are you better to repin? Should you look at sort of your portfolio, putting up examples? What sort of things would work well?
Yeah. So I like to always encourage people to use Pinterest as part of a complete content strategy plan. And so what that means is starting with your core piece of content, which would be your blog or your podcast or your vlog, your YouTube video, whatever you're putting out as a regular piece of content. And we all should be doing that. And then what you do is, as you flow down, you break that into pieces that you can use across all of your platforms. And a lot of people often say, oh, but Pinterest is just another thing for me to do. But if you follow it as a content plan, it's actually not another, like it's just something that just gets done. You do keyword research, you find your topic, you get your blog or your vlog or your podcasts, and you organize that, and then you make 5 pin images for it. You attach a couple of those image or one image to the blog post when you publish it, and then you publish it to Pinterest from there. And then you take a couple of excerpts and you put them across your other social media platform, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You might make an IGTV from there as well, like a little snippet. And you might all do this at the beginning of the month. It sounds like it's too much work, but it really, when you just focus on that one piece of content for the month, that's your content plan. And so I think in terms of content, you need to be putting out regular content, whatever it is, but it needs to be something that is adding value to the customer or the client, the user on Pinterest. A lot of people say, oh, I've got 500 photos, I've got 5,000 photos, and I've got 500 products on my website. That should be good for Pinterest. Well, no, it's much like Instagram. You need to earn the trust of your audience before you try to sell them something. You can't just pop on Pinterest and start selling them. You really need to give them something, offer them some value. And so basically something that is value rich on your website that you can drive them to, that is what you want to be putting on Pinterest. And from there you can sort of mix in a few sales pages or a few opt-in sign-ins, but you really need to be adding value to the user.
So does it matter if you're adding old content to Pinterest? Should it ideally be new or?
So ideally it should be new, but you know how you said earlier that you had that piece of content that went viral. Now I'm not sure where that linked to, but say that linked to a blog and it obviously did well. You can repurpose that blog, rewrite it in a certain way that's basically along the same lines as that topic, but you put a new spin on it, freshen it up, and then repost the pin. The likelihood is that that's also repost pins, new pins for that new blog. The likelihood that that is going to go viral again is probably high because people liked it the first time. So it's something that people liked. And then obviously you have trends at the time, Christmas trends and seasonal trends. And so if you really hone in on those, you can sort of repurpose and republish those Christmas blogs every year, just putting a new spin on them. But the focus at the moment is on fresh content. So new URLs, new blogs, new Pinterest images. And that's why we don't really encourage repinning anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Really, we repin at the moment for a favor, basically. You've got a business friend, they repin something of yours, you repin something of theirs. But you do need to engage on the platform. And that involves going on the platform, following people. People say, oh, I've got no followers, but they're only following 5 people. You need to be following people as well. And it's not like a follow for follow, but you just need to be getting out there, showing people that you exist. So follow people. There's little emoji icons that nobody knows about on videos and story pins. Go and click the little emoji icons, comment on video pins and story pins, just leave little comments. So there's ways you can engage without just repinning. Because repinning is going to not be favorable for your strategy, repinning other people's content.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you use any specific programs to kind of like funnel your content to Pinterest? Like, do you use Buffer? Does Buffer work or anything that you like?
Yeah, so like a scheduling program?
Yeah.
Yep. So there are a number of scheduling programs that are partners of Pinterest that they recommend. I use Tailwind.
Mm-hmm.
I quite like Tailwind. It can be a little glitchy, but lots of programs can be. But it does a really good job. There's no other program that does the same as Tailwind. So what that means, and that's something that makes things easier, is when at the beginning of the month, when you're sort of doing all your content, you just pop them all in Tailwind and send them out across the months. And there you go, you're done. You just do it at the beginning of the month or mid-month, and it's done. And we've really stepped away from the need to post 50 pins a day. There used to be this expectation that you have to go and post 50 pins a day, but it's not needed anymore. Now it's all about consistency. So I'm actually going to start trialing just 3 pins a week for myself. So that's the beauty of having your own Pinterest account. You can really just trial things yourself. It really is just something that I want to play around with and experiment with on my own account. So with that, I'm going to try 3 times a week, probably Monday, Wednesday, and a Sunday or something like that. Schedule it out and just see how it goes. And as long as I'm consistent over the months, maybe for 6 months, I'm going to see how that goes and see if I'm getting similar results to my clients' accounts that I'm posting every day for.
I would love to know what kind of engagement that you look for. Like, when do you feel that a pin has been really successful? Because you're obviously on there all the time looking at how they're doing.
So, I mean, obviously a pin is successful when it's getting you outbound clicks, when it's getting you clicks to your website.
Mhm.
That's our biggest ranking. That's what we want to see. We want to see a pin that has high click through. But the thing is that if people are saving your pin, it's getting recirculated around Pinterest and you don't even have to do it, because
Mhm.
somebody will pin it to their boards and then somebody else will pin it from their board to their board. It's still your pin. It still clicks through to your website the whole time. You still own it, but other people are circulating all around Pinterest for you. And that's the beauty of Pinterest. The content is evergreen.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay,
interesting.
we know on Twitter, contents last about 18 minutes. Instagram, it's about a day. And Facebook, I think it's about 8 hours. But the content on Pinterest is hanging around for at least 4 months, and in some cases, years. So that's the real beauty of Pinterest. That's why I love it.
That's a really good point, isn't it? You don't think
Mm.
about all your other content disappearing, but it is. Out of sight,
Yes.
out of mind.
Bit depressing, really, isn't it?
I know.
So I wanted to say, because my niche is like homes, interiors and renovations, and Pinterest is big there. So that's why one of my fascination with it. But is there other niches where it plays a part? I hear it's big with brides and weddings. Yes.
I was about to say brides, craft, school teachers are getting all of their ideas from Pinterest, and particularly digital products that people can just go through, download, purchase for a small amount, download, and then use in their classroom. It works quite well. So all of those they're visual, all of these industries, your industry is visual, bridal industry and photography is visual, travel is visual, and crafts and all these colorful school teaching resources are all visual. So you can, as long as you can make something look visual, you can succeed.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about service providers, all you need to do is make your pins look visually appealing and have the right keywords on there that are addressing your clients' pain points.
Oh,
And
interesting.
voila.
Mhm. And in terms of like how to actually find work, would you be going out and looking for, say, digital agencies to follow who are on Pinterest, and, big companies publishers that you might want to write for, and small businesses that might also be on Pinterest? Would that be what you'd advise freelancers to do?
Yeah, that's a good idea. And so for myself, I would go and follow people who are in the niche, or who have purpose-driven businesses, or passion businesses, and I would go and follow them and start interacting with their content on there. And then you can also, if you start looking, for example, if you're a fashion brand and you sell handbags, well, then you might start looking at some of the businesses that sell watches or shoes or hats, because those people are going to have followers that will see you. They will actually, you'll start being shown to them. And so just in the algorithm, you'll start showing up. And so they'll see, they might actually just go and have a look at the followers, or who's following this business. And then they see you there. Oh, actually, I might go and follow that person as well. So it's just actually about getting yourself out on the platform. I've got another tip, a hot
Oh,
tip.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
People are using Pinterest at night when they're sitting on the couch and they're watching TV and they're browsing on Pinterest between, 7 and 10 p.m. And so that's actually when you should post, or start interacting on the platform, start liking some of those, pressing some of those emojis and commenting. And even if you're able to do a little bit of manual pinning, you go, oh, I've actually got this pin I could pin right now, just once a week. So on the weekends, a great idea as well as that late night. And if your market is in the US, then it's the middle of the day for us. So their 7 to 10 is the middle of the day for us. And so that works really well.
Is Tailwind just for Pinterest or other?
No, I use it for Instagram as well. So it's for Pinterest and Instagram.
Okay.
And you can post to Facebook post from there as well.
Yeah. I
Okay.
use Later for Instagram, and it also does Pinterest as well. So,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
one of
find
the
that quite good. So you can upload all your content into Later and then put it out on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. Yeah.
I wonder if Buffer does it. I should check because I didn't ever add. You can only add certain amount of, accounts to Buffer, and I've just totally filled it up with all mine and my client accounts. But these things, having like more than one scheduling platform can get pricey, can't it? What does
And
Tailwind cost?
confusing.
I believe Tailwind is currently restructuring their pricing, but
Mhm.
it was around $18 US, I believe, a month.
Mhm.
Comparable.
And they do a 100 pin free trial. And so that means is you can post 100 pins, up to 100 pins, it's for free. And then once you start posting, and you'll be surprised, 100 pins, it goes quite quickly. So by the time you repinned and scheduled over a couple of months, your 100 quota's filled. So, but it gives you a chance to explore that program without having to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think people use Pinterest? One of the things with me is I use Pinterest on my computer, but are people like with other platforms moving more to mobile? Because I know Pinterest has a mobile version. Which one's more popular?
Pinterest is mobile first, the same as
Is it?
Google.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Yes.
Wow.
Everyone's using their mobiles on the couch.
It's not very good, really, when you think about it.
Oh my gosh, so much information. I can so see that I'm going to fall down the Pinterest rabbit hole once more, and it'll be at 9:00 at night. But
just have fun with it. That's
Yeah.
my main takeaway. Is like just have fun with it, experiment with it. What have you got to lose? Like you're currently not using it for any, like it's not driving any traffic. So pay it a little bit of attention, have a bit of fun. Don't post the same pin too close together because you'll get in Pinterest jail. And that's about it. Like it's really just the same as Instagram in terms of spamming rules. Just don't post the same pin over and over again.
Yes, fair enough.
I've just got one last question for you, Simone, which I think is quite important, and it's about how to gauge that you are getting that traffic from Pinterest. Are you looking at insights in Pinterest, or are you setting it up in Google Analytics? How does that work?
So I look at both. It's really, really important to look at both. And that's because sometimes the figures of Pinterest aren't always as accurate as the ones on Google Analytics. The ones on Google Analytics in regards to the traffic that's been sent through to your website is going to be spot on. And in terms of your saves and your impressions, how many eyes are getting on your pins, that's where you'll get that on Pinterest. Some people, they get caught up on analytics, and at the end of the day, it's just about sort of having fun. The most important analytic is how many clicks you're getting through to your website and how many saves. It doesn't matter, some people have millions of impressions on their account, and that's really not that important. It's a vanity. It is a vanity metric, as they say. Yeah. It's nice to look at. It really does look nice, but it's your click-through that's important.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow.
Simone, thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge. I think it's going to be helpful to a lot of our listeners, even though they're probably on all these other social platforms. And, you have to think about adding that to your time, I suppose. But it sounds like it could be really worthwhile depending on the niches that you're in.
Yeah.
I also think the way Simone talked about it was great, when you can basically have that content strategy, and this is just part of it. So it doesn't seem like, oh my God, another platform. That's a nice way to look at it. And we're going to have, speaking of content strategies, in our show notes, where Simone has a multitude of ways you can contact her, and
including Pinterest.
Including Pinterest. So we'll have all her contact details in the show notes and everything if you want to find out more about what she does and her service she offers. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I had lots of fun today.
It was good. Thank you.
All right. See you, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.